to QI, the panel show where fortune favours the brains. Tonight's show is all about luck and loss. So without further ado, let's meet our lucky losers. The fortunate Sandy Toksvig. The fortuitous Danny Baker.
Thank you.
The jammy Jeremy Clarkson. And Mr. Jinx, the Jonah Alan Davies. Yeah, I'm afraid your buzzers are a bit of a lottery, so Sandy goes...
Release the balls.
Danny goes...
No more bets, please.
That sounded like you, didn't it? Yeah. Jeremy goes...
I've literally no idea what that was.
I think that was a jackpot. Yeah. Now, Alan goes... Now, being as this is the Lucky Losers show, whoever gets the lowest score wins.
Well done, Ellen. Well done already. Congratulations.
So, what you have to do, obviously, is try and collect as many klaxons as you can.
Oh.
And that's going to be interesting, we hope. Oh. Quite interesting. Fingers on the buzzers. Here's your first chance. What is the oldest you can be on a club 18 to 30 holiday?
No more bets, please.
Yeah.
30.
Very well done. You've got the idea. There's the klaxon. But anyone like to have a go at the right answer? What do you imagine is, in fact, the right answer? We won't punish you for that.
Surely there's some leeway. Those ladies look a little over 30.
Is it mid-20s? Are they actually... Is it the other one?
They should put it down the other way. No, it is a little bit older than 30.
35.
173.
173. That's very good.
Is it 31?
No, it's 36, rather bizarre. Well, the oldest you can leave the country with a club 18 to 30 ticket in is 35, but you might have your birthday while on the holiday. So
is there not a degree of sadness in your life if you decide to spend your 36th birthday on an 18 to 30 holiday?
That woman on the left just turned 36. I'm so sorry, I've got to go now.
Yeah, there you go. In theory, you could celebrate your 36th birthday on a club 18 to 30 holiday. So, what is the youngest you can be?
No more bets,
yeah, yeah. Whoa.
18.
Whoa, he gets those boxes, doesn't he?
I like to win.
Have another go.
Well, clearly they're keen on that margin of error.
Yeah.
There's clearly some margin of error, so it can't surely be the same margin. It can't be 6 years. It can't be that.
No, it wouldn't be 6. That would be awful.
12 to 36.
It's a recipe.
Perfect match.
I'm on the phone to Operation U-Tree as we speak. No.
Well, it can't be much more. It's 16 or 17.
17 is the right answer.
Oh. I'm winning now, so therefore I'm losing. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you remember they had rather dodgy slogans when they... do you remember any of them that were caused a lot of...
You will get fucked.
Yeah. Would you like to catch chlamydia?
Both carnally and financially. Well, no, it wasn't quite as on the nose as that. It was...
Herpes.
Beaver Hispania.
Oh.
God. Yeah, I know. It's not all sex, sex, sex. There's some sun and sea as well.
Oh, dear. I know.
It really puts you off, doesn't it? Chlamydia, I think, is a very good...
You know, there's no symptoms when you have chlamydia. So if someone says, how are you? You say, oh, very well. That means you almost certainly have it.
It's the perfect disease.
It is, but I don't... So I never know how anyone goes to the doctors with it. It would be quite interesting to
So
find
there are no warts, there's no weeping?
No green discharge.
Has to be frank about these things.
Absolutely fine. Go to the doctors, you'll have chlamydia. It's baffling, and koalas all have it.
Do they?
Yeah, all got
How do you
chlamydia.
know that? This is that in general conversation. Koalas
That's what koala is all about.
Huge problem in Australia. They've all got chlamydia and
I
they're
thought
dying.
maybe it was an add-on to an 1830 Australian holiday. If you didn't get lucky, there's always the koalas.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Well, according to the official rules on their website, a 17-year-old can go to a, as it turns out, rather misnamed Club 18 to 30 holiday. Now, a question especially for Alan to lose points with in this Lucky Losers show. Which mammal has the most cells in its body?
Blue whale.
And you get a lot of points for that. It's the blue whale bonus, and you get points. And what do points mean?
Prizes.
Bad surprises. Yeah. No, it does indeed have the most cells because it's the largest animal. And the larger the animal, the more the cells. But you can claw your way back if you could tell me to the nearest trillion how many cells a human being has. It's a certain trillion.
2.
Oh, it's a bit more than that. It's 30 trillion.
Is it?
Yeah.
What if you were a fat blue whale? Then you'd have more.
Well, no, that's a human I'm talking about. A blue whale would be 2,000 times more cells.
Oh, I see.
So you would think, because it has more cells, that blue whales would have more cancers, or at least have a greater number of them, because it has so many more cells. And in fact, it has fewer than we do, and nobody knows why.
Well, it doesn't smoke. It's obvious reason.
There is that. But it's known as Peto's paradox.
Do they die of cancer, whales?
All mammals can get it. People who've had cats and dogs will know it's a very sad thing, but, you know, all animals get cancer. So.
Oh.
So 5 points available, 5 minus points, I should say. If you can tell me what species of whale that is there.
Blue.
It's not blue, actually. We should have offered you a blue, but in fact that is a...
Is it a sperm?
No, sperm are the ones with a big
Hump.
fin. It's a hump. It's a humper. Yeah, humpback.
Oh, sperm's got the big head that
Yes,
fills...
huge, filled with
stuff.
spermaceti, yes, with a milky substance in its head. But to this day, we don't know what it uses it for. It's the general theory is it's something to do with the huge depths it goes down to. And it was used by NASA because it kept its viscosity in minus 400 degrees of incredibly cold temperatures. It was the same viscosity, nothing replaced it. But it was basically the whole of the Industrial Revolution ran on whale oil. And if it weren't for John D. Rockefeller cracking crude oil into petroleum and various other forms like paraffin and so on, the whales would have unquestionably been extinct.
So petrol saved the whale?
It did. Petrol saved the whale. It's so... It's one of the great ironies of history. It's true. I thought that would please you somehow.
It's enormously pleased.
You'd rather be a petrol head than a sperm head. Still, as it is the largest...
I'd take all the compliments you can get, Jesse.
Now, before we continue, I should let you know that as this is the L series, one of the questions coming up will have a lavatorial theme. The answer will be wholly lavatorial. And if it is... you can ask if you can spend your penny, right?
So if
you
it's a laboratory question, I'll bring that out.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get extra points. That's right. So anyway, moving on. Which good cause benefited from Britain's first lottery?
Dale Winton. Dale Winton's tanning salon.
I'm sure it did very well.
Yeah, there you go.
But it wasn't Britain's first lottery.
Is it the Bank of England?
No, that's a very good point. That was almost like a lottery. Shares were issued to raise money. And
for the army.
Yes, it was virtually like a lottery. But this one was similarly to raise money for a military venture, or at least for a military, perhaps for defence, originally.
With Drake?
Yes, it was indeed in 1567.
It was Drake.
So what it was, yeah, it was
doing in my head.
It was, yeah.
In my head.
I'm very impressed. It was Queen Elizabeth and her navy, and indeed Drake was one of her leading figures. There she is. It was. She realised that should King Philip of Spain send the fleet, which in Spanish is
Armada.
Armada, yes.
I'm genuinely still reeling from the fact that's in my head.
It's really great when that happens, isn't it?
No, it's odd. It's a little weird.
And so she thought to raise money, she'd try and get those who could afford it to buy lottery tickets, and the prize would be enormous. And the money raised would be enormous. Now, what do you think the average wage was per year
Can't have been much.
No, it wasn't much. The average annual income in 1600 was about £9.
Oh.
So tickets were 50 pence, we've called it now, 10 shillings each, which is about 3 weeks' wages.
Yeah.
So only the rich would be able to.
Only the rich would be able to. The prize on there was £5,000, 5,000 then pounds, which is millions today.
Buy America.
You buy a huge estate. Plus, it was paid partly in cash, but also in gold and silver and fine tapestry and fabrics, and something really extraordinary to encourage sales. And this later cropped up in one of the most popular games in our culture as something that you could tuck away under the board of the game for future
Monopoly,
use.
a get-out-of-jail-free card.
You've got a get-out-of-jail-free card for anything except murder, serious felonies, treason,
and parking.
Yeah. Obviously, that was not allowed. Or piracy, that was one. But everything else was, yeah, very good.
That would sell tickets now.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea.
I learned about the Mary Rose. Do you want to know about the Mary Rose?
Tell me about the Mary Rose.
The Mary Rose sank because they didn't close the cannon portholes.
Oh,
and they let off a broadside and it tipped back in the water or went
all shipped every...
500 men on board.
And they drowned because they'd put the netting across the deck to prevent people boarding the boat, and they were unable to get off.
They couldn't get out.
And I have to say, the Mary Rose Museum, which is in Portsmouth, is one of the single best museums I've ever been. It's only just opened. And there was some controversy about it because they were able to resurrect skeletons and, using forensic artists, show us pictures of what they actually looked like. You can stand and look the cook in the face.
Oh, my goodness.
It is the most astonishing thing, and see all his things. And what I love is that even though they were going to war and they were fighting and so on, they had violins and they had chessboards and they had dice and they wanted to play games as well. So I love the fact that, you know, they must have been having a laugh and enjoying themselves, apart from it was such a tragic end. But it's the most amazing time capsule of that period because the ship sank with everything there.
It is amazing.
Well, I'm going to go.
It's
It's well worth its visit.
I think, yes. Exactly. Let's go all go to... Very good. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. So, the good cause in the first national lottery was beating out the Spanish. What did newsagents sell that makes people suddenly want to vote Tory?
Oh. Is it going to be the Daily Mail?
Makes me want to vote communist.
Will you get one for the Daily Telegraph as well?
You probably might, yeah! He's clawing his way back to victory. No, this is a very odd thing, but newsagents sell them.
What about the Sun?
This is not a newspaper, I would now say, but it's something newsagents sell.
They sell something that makes you want to vote Conservative.
Well, it does if things turn out well after you've bought this particular item.
OK.
So we're really back to the last question.
Is it a lottery ticket?
It's a lottery ticket. If you win the lottery, many Labour voters who won the lottery said they changed their mind and were now Tory voters.
What a depressing comment on humanity.
Perhaps even more depressing is that the American therapists have a name for the syndrome, which is sudden wealth syndrome, which is presumably what they suffer from whenever they name a syndrome. They make money by deciding you have a syndrome.
That's a really boring name for it, though. Could
Sudden wealth.
You
think so, yeah. But these are the same people who said that if you lose someone you love, they die, and you are still...
Oh!
Impressive.
The day had to happen.
That was an explosion.
You're right.
There are people in California now looking at their seismographs going, Jesus, what was that?
Is that because I said the word die? No, don't do it again.
So sorry for
Sorry, no, it's fine. It was a revolting thing about psychologists who basically said that if someone you love dies and you're still inconsolable with grief 6 months later, that is a mental condition. It's not
What's that called? Just 6 months later, dead person syndrome?
It's called grieving. It is perfectly reasonable.
I think a syndrome I read of recently is, you know when you come out the pictures and you sneeze? Do you do that when you go from a dark thing or look at the sun?
Yes, or look at the sun,
that?
yeah.
It's got a real fancy name now.
I've never sneezed when walking through the dark. Is that not?
You don't suffer from it. Don't mock people.
You don't go, presumably... you don't go to matinees. You go to evening performances. So it comes out and it's dark, but it's from the dark into the light.
It's a syndrome. It's a real syndrome.
We've got the name in front of me. Look, my elves have been busily hacking away. It's called autosomal dominant compelling heliophthalmic outburst.
There you go.
I want to have him round for dinner.
For short, it's called Achu syndrome. But we're still with lotteries. This is more astonishing. I mean, what a coincidence. In 2001, guess who won the Zimbabwe Banking Corporation's jackpot?
No. Mugabe.
It was Robert Mugabe. What are the odds against that? I mean... Oh,
wow, lucky man.
Yeah, lucky. Anyway, less fortunate was Clarence Inaction Jackson. The name tells it all. He won, in 1995, $5.8 million on the Connecticut lottery.
Oh.
And
didn't get it?
Failed to turn up.
Pick it up?
The collect-by date passed, and they wouldn't pay out. He tried to sue, and he lost. Very sad. And there was a woman in 1980 called Maureen Wilcox who chose the correct winning numbers for both Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Unfortunately, she
was burned as a witch.
No, she played the Massachusetts numbers in Rhode Island.
No, the odds against that was just 30 trillion to 1.
Quite. Anyway, yes, lottery winners tend to turn right after collecting their winnings. What's the most disgusting thing a Liberal-Tory coalition has ever done?
Well, I think you've got the photo right there. So much choice. I guess it's not this Liberal.
It's not this, it's the Liberal Party rather than the Liberal Democratic Party, which is the Lib Dems.
Is it Whiggery? Is it?
It's not Whiggery, it's later than that. 100 years later, roughly. 1890s,
Is
in
it
fact.
something to do with sewers?
It's in your favourite city, Birmingham, where the bullring is. It's not sewers.
Is it something to do with Thomas Crapper?
No, it's nothing to do with... It's not a spend a penny answer. It's eating something in public.
In Birmingham?
In Birmingham.
A Liberal person ate something in Birmingham in the 1850s.
A group of Liberal
It's getting
people.
closer and closer.
It was a scandal that rocked the nation. It wasn't dog shit. It was...
A dog.
A dog.
Oh.
They ate a dog. Not only did they celebrated their victory. In a
That was not a real headline.
No, we did. We did mock that one up, I grant you. But the top bit is correct. Birmingham Gazette, proprietors Birmingham Gazette Limited, largest sale with one exception of any provincial morning newspaper. I love that, with one exception. I'll grant you that, yes, there is one exception.
Why don't they just put second last?
Birmingham, the largest. So they ate this dog. Not only that, they hanged and roasted it, and portions of the dog's limbs were used to create fun by some of the men rubbing them over the faces of their companions. But a few days later, the Birmingham Gazette was scooped by the Birmingham Post, still going, I think, which revealed that one of the men involved was a Tory. So, in fact, it was a coalition disgrace.
Why did they do this?
To celebrate. They were obviously drunk, I suspect. They were councillors who won a
but
victory.
there's drunk and the's...
There's really unpleasant.
Many times. And I've never looked at my dogs and thought...
Or your neighbour's dogs.
You've had a kebab coming.
Did you know that how disgusted you feel about something, so how disgusted you might feel about somebody eating a dog, will reflect on your political inclinations? So Conservative people are more likely to feel repulsed by things than Liberals. And it's something to do with your physical reaction to something, so it'll tell you something about what kind of political persuasion you are.
That's how I know I'm so liberal. Because I'll eat anything. You've never eaten a dog there? That's very odd.
No. Well, they're like most
know.
meat eaters, they're not very tasty.
Well, you shouldn't eat anything that's more than 2 from the sun, anyway, and a dog eats meat, so you shouldn't... Really
Exactly, meat eaters are not good. I mean, those who do eat meat, they eat vegetarians. We eat cows and sheep.
You're a vegetarian, aren't you?
I eat fish.
I could still eat you. Technically, I could eat you.
Yeah. I'd leave the
I think
hair.
we'd have to have a vote.
Now, this next question is even more incomprehensible than usual, so I thought I'd spice things up by getting you all to wear hats. Could you pass that to Jeremy? And you can have that. And yours, you'll notice, says leader. And you can
I have the
fez
largest head in the
there,
world.
And you can have a nice straw bow trim. That's extraordinary. You do have a large head.
Enormous head.
Elmer Fudd.
I saw Bob Dylan in concert.
Did he well?
At the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have screens on, so you can't, he's this size. And he wore a 10-gallon hat for the whole thing, and he never spoke. So it could have been anyone.
Right, OK, here we go with this question. What do Amy Freeze and Larry Sprinkle have in common with Dee Whedon and A.J. Splatt?
Is this some
Are these
dark
real
part
people?
of the internet?
It's a real thing. It's not a dark part of the internet. It's a joyous part of real life.
They're real people.
Whedon and Splatt are both Australian urologists. And in other words, they cover splatting and being weed on. Well, not necessarily being weed on. Sorry. And Amy Freeze and Larry Sprinkle are American
Chefs.
Antifreeze manufacturers.
Ice cream.
Garden sprinkler.
meteorologists, weather forecasters. So it freezes, you get a sprinkle of rain.
I believe that's their real name.
It really is. Now, what is the name for people having jobs that come after their names? So if you were a baker... say.
Yes, exactly. I don't know the
My
term.
dad was a clerk.
And your dad, exactly, that would do it.
Yeah.
It's called nominative determinism.
It's called nominative or onomastic determinism because it's you're determined by your name.
Nice.
I've always been interested by this because there was a family many, many years ago and they were called the Gauntlets and they christened their son Victor.
I knew Victor. He ran Aston Martin.
Exactly. He was destined to run Aston Martin simply because his parents had christened him Victor. If they'd called him Stan, he would have been a plumber. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
Where somebody called Fotherington's Major Fortescue has always got a sandwich shop in Fulham, whereas somebody called Ron Twat is from somewhere. And it's very simple names tend to...
I know Ron Twat.
Do you? Pretty good builder.
Surely Ron Twat should be a gynaecologist. Surely.
Now you can see...
Dennis Norden, when he used to write with Frank Muir, when they were writing their scripts, they used to get bored and come up with improbable TV shows. And the best one was, by day, she dispensed justice on the streets of LA. By night, she was queen of the music halls. Join us at 8 for Tara Raboom, DA. What a great show.
Tara Raboom, DA. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
That was my favourite one of those.
Well, some examples you might know. They're called aptronyms as well because they're apt nyms. Mark Avery, where would he work? Well, no, that's a bit too specific.
Cambridge.
He's of the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, yes, very good. The poet Wordsworth, when you think about it, he went to Cambridge to read mathematics, and he probably thought, well, I'm called Wordsworth. Words.
Stephen, why am I wearing this hat?
Well, you'll see. You're the leader. You've got to have a way of indicating your leadership, and you're the leader.
I did a programme years ago sailing around Britain with John McCarthy, and we had to go and be fitted for life jackets, at Crusader life jackets, and they were fitted, and I promise you I've still got his card, by a man called Will Drown.
It's just fantastic. It's just bliss when it happens. Well, you've rather beaten mine. My rather sorry lot left. I mean, Danone UK